Cette fois, c'est la bonne. On enregistre? All right. Thank you very much for doing this, Benoit. My first question is, can you introduce yourself and what you do?
Yes. So I am Benoit Racquet. I am the co-owner with my wife, Sylvie Fortin, of a company called Chocolat. We moved to the US 10 years ago, and we created Chocolat in 2014. Chocolat is a confectioner of Belgian chocolate, and we live in Connecticut.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Why did you decide to ask for help in the first place? What was the problem?
It's a good question. I think there are many reasons to ask for help when you're a family-owned business. What prompts you at the moment to ask more for help is probably the question. And I think we were facing a point of no return. We had enough evidence that we had tried a lot of things ourselves, and that we were getting to a little bit of insanity, you know, when you try the same answer and you hope for different results. And it takes a little bit of being humble to realize that this is the situation you're in. And the second reason is because Sylvie was lucky enough to meet you, Xavier, thanks to the Belgian Chamber of Commerce in New York. It sounded like there was someone we could ask for help to, which is the second part of the equation. I think when you're family-owned business, it's not just about, no, I have to find someone that I can ask help to. It actually, the answer comes with the problem. You know, you have a lot of problem, and we decided that it was the right time to ask for help because we thought we also had the answer.
And that leads me to my next question, which is, why did you decide to hire me as opposed to any other coach?
Multiple reasons. The first one, the fact that you had a good understanding of the Belgian and the American culture, heavily indexed on American culture, was really important for us. We are not here to convert everybody to Belgium, but it is important to preserve what we bring. So there was a balance between the knowledge of the market, especially in the food industry, that you really represented. The second aspect is we had a high respect for your level of consultancy approach. It was important for us that we were not just going to talk about platitudes that we already knew, but that you were going to come with a methodology that you have tested and experienced more than once, and that it was going to be probably at times discomfortable, but always fruitful. And so that was the second characteristic that you met. I think the third one, and maybe the most important one, is the goal of the sessions was we were going to leave with a plan. So it was also something actionable, which when you're a family-owned business, getting more data and doing more analysis is not really what you look for. You actually need for actionable items. And so it was heavily oriented to next steps, which gave us the confidence we were looking for. And then maybe as a wrapper, you also had industry knowledge. But I think the real value was not that we could use your network. It was mainly the value of your approach and the level of understanding that you had for our problem.
All right, thank you very much. What did I provide that you value the most?
Feedback. I think the feedback you provided during the sessions was highly valued. It ended up being a combination of a coaching session on how to think the right way about a problem, and then something actionable. But the feedback gave us also the importance to take the actions that you recommended. I think there is another aspect that you did bring, which I think is unvaluable. In our company, I am the chocolatier and Sylvie is the manager. And it's a very difficult balance to establish how you evolve. You need to scale more than one chocolatier. However, you need to really empower the manager. And in a couple, there is a lot of blurred line between the definition of the manager and your partner as someone you live with. I think you did bring a lot of structure in your feedback that was incredibly valuable to be comfortable with the role we had to play. And so it really crystallized for us what were the type of decision we should make as individual, not together, and the decision we should not make as an individual and not together. And so that feedback, I think, was the most valuable in how we took something from the session that we can use every day.
Thank you. Now, what has been the result of working with me?
So, well, clearly it translated into an action plan. And so we executed the action plan. We really like the way you set ownership and deadlines. I know that we have been evaluating different tools to track it, but I think what was the most important is the deadlines were clear. And so the results have been for us that the insanity was confirmed. So just to give a little bit of the background, our business was initially operated into a food certified basement. The pandemic was giving us additional business. Clearly, there is no pandemic for chocolate. It's more the solution than it is a problem. And we were going to run the risk of being not able to meet the capacity requirement, potentially lose again another chocolatier, and then repeat what we are able to do, which is train and find another person without progressing. So the result of working with you was that there was no way out of that issue other than just finding a place to produce. And we realized that it was meeting a lot of our values that you helped to identify. So we also had the confidence as a result that the next step was meeting our value. It was not a rush forward where we jump courageously into the unknown. It gave us what the company values were, what we should use as a criteria to find a place, things that were intuitive but not really as clear. And then we actually were helped a lot by you putting names on those concepts and words. And so it helped the next step. The next step was the result. The next step was easier to find a place that met the characteristic that represented us, that we only believed in, but we did not really realize how important they were for our customers.
All right. Thank you very much. Now, my last question is, if someone was thinking of working with me, what would you tell them?
So I think that the cadence that we have used was really good. So we've met on a weekly basis for 4 weeks. It was intensive, close to a full day in terms of how we prepared that day, and then the time with you, and then the time after you left. But then the cadence of the week gave us enough time to actually take action and report on progress that we had done, and then make sure that the progress was in the right direction. So I think that the advice I would take is it's pretty intensive. Compress all the changes that we have done in a month was a real acceleration for us. It was a good exercise at the right time where we were not in the high season, so we could readjust but not lose a year from the learning. So I think that the advice is there to make sure when you start to work with Xavier, you prioritize the investment you are making in the effort, because the time between the meeting and the session will also be a consequence of the sessions. And so it's a very wise decision to work with Xavier. At the same time, support the personal investment you're making into the process to make it successful, not at the end, but along the way.
Thank you very much. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
Well, I'm happy to serve as a reference. I think this video is a good example, but I think that one of the reasons that is important for us is you've been personally invested into our success after the session. So this is not something where we are left by ourselves to use and to expand, but I think you have a natural desire to see that the recommendations you make are the right ones. And I think that from that aspect, this is something that inspires trust in my confidence to recommend to work with you, because you've been helping us along the way after the session. So I think that's something which is highly valuable, and I'm happy to help others who have a doubt to be confident in that they are making the right decision in their specific situation.
Cool. Thank you very much, Benoit.
Absolutely, Xavier. Thank you.